Hi guys. So I am on chapter 9, Algebra, Patterns and Graphing, Show What You Know, page 387. So because this is almost entirely just writing down, I'm going to be doing it slightly differently. It'll be fine though. So first off, read and use a bar graph. This is the graph that we're using. Which fruit received the most votes? Well, obviously, the apple did. So on this line, I am writing apple. Which fruit received 5 votes? So you see the lines go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 5 is between which numbers? 4 and 6. So who got between 4 and 6? The green one, which is the banana. There were blank votes in all. Okay. So I have my apple had, let me make this smaller. Apple had 7 votes. Orange had 4 votes. Banana had 5 votes. And grapes had 6 votes. So 7 plus 4 is 11, plus 5, 16, 16 plus 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, carry over the 1, so I end up with 22. So there were 22 votes in all. Find the missing number and then write a description for the pattern. Okay, so we have 3 missing numbers. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right? And we are every time adding how much? 5. Okay, number 5. 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. And every time we are subtracting 10. Here, 12, 8, 24, 30. Are we adding or subtracting? We're adding. How much? What is 18 minus 20? 8 minus 2 is 6. So we are adding 6. So I'm writing that down first. Now let's actually do our 30 plus 6 is 36. 36 plus 6 is 42. 42 plus 6 is 48. You will also notice that this is what happens when you multiply something by 6. So 12 is 2 times 6, 18 is 3 times 6, 24 is 4 times 6, 30 is 5 times 6, 6 times 6, 7 times 6, 8 times 6. Okay, do you see how that came up? All righty, very good. Number 7, are we adding or subtracting first off? We are adding how much? What is 250 minus 200? 50, right. So it's like going up here, except we have an extra 0 added on. So it's like going 15, 20, 25, 30, except it's 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. Down here, are we adding or subtracting? 200, 180, 160, 140. We're subtracting. How much? What is 180 minus 160? 8 minus 6 is 2. So we end up with 2 and then the 0. Subtracting by 20. So we can look at this like we're taking away 2's each time. So the 20, 18, 16, 14, 12 with the 0, 10 with the 0, 8 with the 0. Do you see? You can look at it that way when you're putting it together. Be a math detective by graphing and connecting the map coordinates to locate the secret documents in the lost briefcase. X always goes first, then Y. So let me get a stamp. I'm going to do stars for our points. So our first point is at 3, 3. So we go down here and we see, oh, well, there's a 3. Then we go here and we see here's a 3. And then we see where those two lines cross each other, right there. It's just like how when you're using your times table, you find where the two lines cross each other, and then that's your answer for what the multiplication problem is. It's exactly the same thing when we're doing a point on a graph. Except with times tables, it doesn't matter which one you have on the top and which one you have on the side, so long as one is on the top and one is on the side. Graphs, it matters. First number is always the bottom, second number is always the side. 4, 2. So I go to 4, and then I go up to the 2 and put a dot there. 4, 4. I go over to the 4, and then I go up to the 4 right there. And 5, 3. I go over to the 5, and then I go up to the 3 right there. So the question was, where is the briefcase? It is, let me put a heart stamp on the briefcase. There's the briefcase right there. Okay? Now the thing with this is I have to erase before I can move on to the next page. So give me a sec, guys. All right, so I am now on page 388, and let's see about putting together this chart of ours. So at the beginning, we have data, and we can split data up into two different things. We can either put it on a coordinate grid, or we can put it on a line plot. Is that what it wants? On a line plot. Oh, I remember what the line plot is. Okay, so the line plot is when you have a number line and then you put X's over top of it for how much of the information there actually is for it. So, okay. So things that you end up with on a on each of these. So here's the thing. I'm going to go with the coordinate graph first, and then we will figure out what is on each of those. Use the checked words to complete it. So we have the x-axis. Remember, that's the one that goes along the bottom. It's the first number that we use. We have the y-axis. That's the number that goes up the side. It's the second number that we use. Together, the x and the y make what we call an ordered pair. Okay, so that's the x and the y together make an ordered pair. You can then use no, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's not line plot because that one's not a sorry guys, I don't think that's line plot. I'll come back to that one in a second. It makes an ordered pair, and then you use that ordered pair to make a line graph. Okay? Right. So up here, I guess this up here is interval, because that's how far apart things are from each other. And then we would have the origin, which is where we start, and we would have the scale. which is how far apart things are. Although, here's the problem. You can have intervals, origins, and scales on coordinate grids, and that's why this is doing my head in a little bit. Number one, a graph that uses line segments to show how data, that uses line segments to show how data changes over time is called a line graph. It's a type of graph. The pair of numbers used to locate points on a grid is an ordered pair. The point 0, 0 is also called the origin. That's where we start. And it's where the x and the y axis intersect. On a coordinate grid, the horizontal, so that's the one going this way, line is the x axis, and the vertical line is the y axis. The first number in an ordered pair is the x coordinate, always, 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 and the second number in an ordered pair is the y coordinate, always, always, always. The difference between the values on the scale of a graph is the difference between the values on the scale of the graph is an interval. Okay, so fill in all of your words. And that is it for this particular one. I'll have 9.1 up pretty soon, actually. Talk to you later. Bye.